This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories.
And welcome to my review of the Andor Season 2 Ghorman Massacre arc. And this is genuinely the best Star Wars we have gotten ever. Honestly, like at least from Disney, because I think this is better than really everything besides those final few moments of the Clone Wars Season 7. It was genuinely incredibly well made. I had such a great time watching it. I had to work late, and I was up until nearly 2 a.m. watching this, and the story was so compelling, I wasn't tired at all. And I usually go to bed at around midnight at the latest, so it was just absolutely incredible. I loved every single second of this. Absolutely so much has happened in this. The storytelling was absolutely amazing, and yeah, they did retcon two things in this. They retconned Mon Mothma's speech from Rebels, the one that she gave in the Senate, and they also retconned K2SO's origin, which I really haven't read that one comic, but I just know that they have changed it. It is just genuinely insane. I think that they did such an incredible job. If you have not gone and watched this, do not watch this video. I do not want this to be ruined for you because of just how absolutely incredible this story was. And I'll be moving into spoilers now, and as I said, absolutely amazing. Just everything with them building up to the Gorman Massacre in that first episode, as really everyone's getting put into place. Absolutely incredible. I think that just the storytelling, really well done. Everyone being pushed to their place. Everyone, besides like Mon Mothma going to Gorman. Well, Mon Mothma and also Luthen, who doesn't even appear until the final episode of this arc. But yeah, absolutely amazing. It was just expertly handled as the tension continued to build and build. It was just truly incredible. I think that because how they told this story was just expertly well done, and just really Cyril becoming more and more suspicious. Us learning that the Gorman rebels learned that he was working for the Empire and was supposed to spy on them. None of them trust him, but he was going and saying that I need to. I kind of want to help you guys because it seems like the Empire is going too far, and they're like, we don't trust you. You're working for them, and you're just trying to betray us. But you could just tell that Cyril just wants to do the right thing, and going with Cyril, it is so tragic for him in this. Cyril is going, and I mean, he just believes in doing the right thing, and when he learns that the Empire is going to commit this atrocity, led by Deidre, he is just devastated when he goes off on her. You could just tell how much it affects her. She genuinely did care for Cyril, and when he storms off, she wants him to be kept safe, even though he is a good chance of him going to tell people what has happened here. And as Cyril is just absolutely losing it, he finally sees Cassian again, and he just snaps and completely loses it. It was such an interesting moment as I said, as he is absolutely just losing it in the scene. He goes off and he tries to kill him because he is he's just absolutely broken. He sees him and he's finally he just snaps. He really blames this all on Cassie and him going and being put in this position. If it wasn't for him, he would just still be a corporate security guard and not have had to go through all this. Not have had to have been the person responsible for all these civilians' deaths. He is just so sad. And then they go to the moment where Cassian doesn't remember him because the only encounter Cassian had was in season one where he puts the gun to the back of his head so he never saw the front of his face. He goes and Cyril's about to kill him and he's like, "Who are you?" And I've already seen memes of people making the we're taking Thanos and putting Cyril's face on it and Cassian's over Wanda's. Oh, it's just so funny. Just how fast that someone made that meme, but it was it was just an incredibly just impactful moment. And then Cyril does get killed by the that one Gorman who runs the shop. It was it was just a great end for Cyril. He stuck to his morals until the end, and even seeing his mom going and just having that breakdown at the end after her son was killed, showing that no matter just how awful she was towards him, yeah, she still cared. It was it was just an amazing storyline for that, and that is only for the first one that I'm talking about. Now to talk about Deidre, just because of how much she is well crossing over with this story, and with her, it was, as I said, it was really great to see. She is very major in this, but only really emotional moments for her are when Cyril leaves and she just has that absolute breakdown at the end after she presumably learns that Cyril was killed in the massacre and that it is her fault that he died. It shows that, yeah, she did care about him and it was just it's such a nice moment to see because, as I said, it is truly a moment where you see her true humanity and that her problem with the situation is not that she went and killed all these people. It is that she got the person that she loved killed. It was, as I said, it was extremely emotionally well done, and I think that it was just absolutely incredible. Now going to Wilmot, I think it's really interesting just how dedicated to the cause he now is. I just really enjoy that him wanting to be really loyal to Luthen and everything, and even wanting to get take Deidre out. Although he said it wasn't for revenge, I think that it probably was for him. And I think even I don't remember exactly because it was a little tired at the time, but Bix basically convincing Cassian to go and do this job at Gorman it was it was interesting, especially with the fact that she leaves at the end, which I will be talking about in just a little bit. But everything with Wilmot there is honestly really sad as he goes and stays behind it to be with his girlfriend. And I'm glad they did show his fate at the end because they still haven't shown us the fate of B2, and I thought that they could have done the thing where he gets transferred into K2, but yeah, I'm kind of glad that he's just gonna have that this kind of happy fate where he gets to live out and be in peace, unless something really bad happens to him in the next arc, and then that's gonna be really, really sad to see because B2 is just the absolute best, and I don't want to see something bad happen to him. But yeah, honestly, just going through Wilmot, honestly, is really glad to see him survive. He got some pretty serious injuries, and after he got those, he was managed to be healed. I did really, really enjoy that. He did survive because he's just such a great character who is just really, really well done. And yeah, that's actually what I have to say about him. Really, nice little part of the story, and now time to move on to some of the other major characters and just going through everyone. I think the next person to talk about would be. It's just so hard to think of because everyone was so incredible in this. And there's really only three characters left to talk about for this, for their impact on the story, and that is Mon, Cassian, and Bix. And since Cassian and Mon have such a major role in this, and while Bix's is still pretty big, it is not as big as the two of them. I guess I have to talk about her next. And I think everything with her was just tragically brilliant. Her going and I would say most likely being pregnant in this, it did show her like just grabbing her stomach a lot, and it did feel like they were doing their best to avoid having shots that specifically showed it, unless she was holding it. So I feel like there is just this really good chance that she's going to have a kid with Cassian, and even though she would have loved Cassian to be there with her to raise this kid, she knows that Cassian is needed for the rebellion and makes that sacrifice at the end to take the decision out of his hands and go into hiding just to be able to force Cassian to go and fight for the rebellion, knowing that he has to be there. And if it isn't for her, the Death Star plans would now never be taken because Cassian's just done. He wants to live his life with her, and she left him just to make sure that he did the right thing and didn't make the selfish decision. She went and made the decision that a Jedi would have made, putting the needs of the galaxy ahead the needs of herself. And I mean, it was such an emotional moment as she says, "We could finally be together after we win this war." And the tragedy in this scene where she's almost certainly never going to see Cassian again because we know that right after this show ends, Rogue One happens, and we'll be seeing Cassian die. So it is just such a sad, sad moment, and I'd love to see a post-credit scene where Bix, her child, and B2 go to mourn Cassian and all that he has done because I think that'd just be a great emotional send-off to Cassian and everything that has happened. And yeah, I think it probably should be set a few years after, maybe even after the New Republic has won, and we see just a final scene with, well, depending on who survives, maybe Mon Mothma going to Bix, maybe even Wilhelm being there also, and them saying, "Do you think like the price was worth it for victory here?" And just having Bix go and say, Yes, even though Cassian isn't with me, if it wasn't for him, this galaxy would never be free. It would just be honestly a really, really impactful moment. It would be genuinely incredible. I think a great way to end the series. I don't know if it will have that because I do know it's supposed to end just before Rogue One, but if they do have a surprise post-credit scene like that, I think that it would be just absolutely amazing to have. And then also going through with her with the Force Healer, it does show that she has this she has this big thought in destiny and how it needs to happen, and I think that it really did work. I really, really enjoyed it. As I said, I think that that final speech she has to Cassian is absolutely emotionally heartbreaking, and it was just expertly well done. I truly, genuinely loved it, and I think that it was just amazing to see. But now it's time to move into the big two for the storyline, and that is Cassian and Mon. And man, as I said, that was just extremely, extremely well done. And I don't know who to talk about first because both were incredible. And since Cassian's a big character of the show, I'll do him last, but I'll talk about Mon now. And honestly, just incredible storytelling with her. I think that this show has just made Mon Mothma one of the best characters in Star Wars. And before that, she literally was only a character that just showed up in the background. She never had too much development. She was just, I said this before, she was just the one person who went and the good guys went to for help. She never really had a character arc or any major storyline, and here we just get absolutely genuinely amazing storylines for her. It starts out just with her. I think this is like before the entire Gorman stuff starts. It might have been episode 2 of the arc, but this is before the massacre begins, where the senator from Gorman is going and thanking Mon for all she's done, and just knowing that things are probably going to go really bad. It was it was just super super well done, and it was just a really sad thing to see where you know that this person's people are going to be massacred, and then you go and you get to see her seeing this absolute atrocity, her going to Bail Organa for help, and while you could simply say, "Oh, you could have just had someone else, you didn't recast Bail Organa," it was important to have him here because Bail Organa is the person in Rebels who goes and ensures Mon gets to Yavin safely, and that was well important to have, and just seeing their relationship and how both of them are going and working for the rebellion was it was just really great. And with this, now that she's mentioned Luthen around Bale, I do hope that Luthen is able to make it into the next book in the Reign of the Empire trilogy because Luthen is just such a great character, and I definitely want to see more from him, even though I think it's basically guaranteed he's going to die in the next arc. So just going to this, just everything with Mom was incredible. Her preparing for that speech, her learning that her one aide who was in Rebels was working for Luthen, and that did remove a little tension from this, knowing that he was gonna go and be with Mon, and that mission with the Ghost Crew has removed a little tension where she's like, I just don't want to see you anymore. But as I said, honestly, it was still just a really well done. If you didn't know about that little fact, then it really doesn't take anything away. But her just going and giving that speech, yes, it's different than the one she gives in Rebels, where she doesn't, say, oh, I blame Emperor Palpatine for what's happened. Instead, she says, the monster's coming for us. You just see it keep cutting away to the Imperials and the ISB being like, we need to get rid of the feed. You need to turn off the power to the Senate building if you have to. And just seeing as Mon goes and is just absolutely going off on the Emperor and the Empire and their atrocities, saying, just how directly responsible they are, and a genocide has been committed. It was unprovoked, and they did the wrong thing. It was just, it was just a genuinely incredible. I think that it was just, as an extremely well done. That speech was truly amazing and shows that this the absolute best part of the show is the speeches that people give, because the probably like two of the best scenes of this arc. Well, I think probably the best is Cyril just absolutely kind of losing it on Cassian, and then just kind of the atmosphere around Gorman. But some of the best parts of this arc is the speeches that Bix and Mon give. They were just a genuinely emotionally well done. I think it was truly incredible, and just going through her storyline, I just love how she's just the more innocent character, and they do still show that she has these higher morals, and it is extremely well told when you get to the final the final scene of this, where she's escaping the Senate and Cassian's killing people, and she's just absolutely horrified at all this death happening. It is, as I said, it is really emotionally well done. I think that it was just as a genuinely great to see. And she's just in complete shock as just the true violence of the rebellion, and Cassian going and having to kill all these people. He kills the one rebel who was actually the ISB agent, and she goes and pulls the blaster on them. And then after that, we see the absolute just insane atrocity where he goes and kills the driver, and she's like, "Whoa, whoa, like, what are you doing?" And Cassian's like, I'm doing what needs to be done. He tells her, like, welcome to the rebellion, because this rebellion is violent, and it is them going and doing all they can to go and be able to defeat the Empire. As I said, it was just truly amazing with her. I think that her just going and finally being brought to the safe house, and her talking to really everyone and being good to Cassian, like, just thank you for what you've done. Like, I know I didn't really seem grateful as you're killing all these people, but I'm safe now because of you, and just I'm super thankful for that. And then obviously it would have been cool to see Cassie go and take her away, but they're saying, oh no, she has to have this full escort and honor guard, so she can go and give a speech to fully declare her loyalty to the rebellion, which is what is seen in Rebels. And well, yeah, they could have tossed an extra 2 to 3 minutes in here of just seeing her give the speech. It wasn't necessary since we already do have that speech, and she doesn't need to go and give it again. Even if they just did use the audio footage from Rebels and put it into this. Honestly, it is just really, really amazing. This just expertly goes and fits in really well with that episode. Even though, yeah, they went and they changed what she said. I remember her saying in the Rebels speech, which did appear on my YouTube recommended videos last night. I did watch quickly before I went to bed just to see how people were talking about it at that point. Didn't watch anything yet, so I didn't have anything go and truly affect my opinion. But it was, as I said, it was just they changed some things. In that speech, she goes and says, "I blame Palpatine himself." And then here she goes and it's like, the monster comes for us all, and the monster is Palpatine before her speech is cut off, and genuinely incredible, and I absolutely loved it. And yeah, I'm already at 26 minutes, and I still have to talk about Cassian's story, which is probably going to take another at least 5 to 7 minutes at a minimum. But yeah, honestly, just finishing with Mom, everything with her, truly incredible. I think it is totally fine that they did recast Bale, and they only showed him last week just to go and show, that he was recast. And then I think it is disappointing we didn't see what happened to Perrin in this, since there's really is no mention of him and we don't see him at all. So I think they probably could have added a scene or two of her with Perrin, because I don't know if we'll be seeing him in the episode next week or the arc next week. But yeah, finishing with Mon, everything truly incredible with her, and I just genuinely really enjoyed it. But yeah, now it's time to move on to Cassie and everything that happened with him. And before I do that, I did go and see something quickly while I was just taking a quick break because I was a little tired of speaking. I needed a second to catch my breath, so I was trying to see what some other people were saying about it, and kind of uh, conversation I was having on Discord with some other Star Wars fans, and someone was saying they could easily explain that the thing we hear in Rebels was actually just everything that Mom said was kind of changed more or less by kind of like AI by the Empire to go in and show what Mom was saying was bad, but not that bad. Because having her showing that she's committed treason, but not going and saying that, oh, the Empire has committed genocide. So I think that could work. And now moving back to Cassian and his story, man, it was just genuinely emotionally incredible. As he starts off, he goes to that one force healer to get this blaster burn healed, and she goes and sees something about his future, and it terrifies him. It most likely is her seeing his death on Scarif, and Cassie probably also seeing that, and that's scaring him and making him realize he's gonna give his life for this cause. So he just doesn't want to do this anymore. He wants to just live his life with Bix, and I do like that they didn't show what it was, and they made you kind of like assume, but that's just what I'm assuming, because he saw his death on Scarif, and he was he was just not wanting to go and do this. He wanted just to be with her, and after seeing everyone die in the massacre and him nearly losing Roman there, him just think that, no, I can't do this. I just have to go and do what's best for me, and I don't care if the Empire falls by my hand. I just need to have this emotional connection with Bix and for us to be together. And that storyline was great. Him going and really doing all he could do, and I'm glad it wasn't some stupid thing where, it's just like, oh, I heard the speech and that makes me want to change. No, it was him still wanting to be selfish and just wanted to be with Bix, and her taking the decision out of his hands, realizing he is important for the rebellion, and yes, I'd love to be with him, but I just can't. I think that, like I said earlier, truly, truly, truly emotionally well done, and it was incredible. And then Cassian just being there for the massacre, him going and seeing everything that was happening, him seeing the Imperials get in position, knowing things were going to go bad, knowing it was a trap. It was just great. Also, talking about knowing it was a trap, there was the one guy where Cassian talks to him last arc, and he's like, "You don't understand. Like, you guys are these things are too good to be true, and you guys are walking into a trap." He now sees that here, and he sees that the Empire. He has really when he's involved. He sees the Empire is going, and they're going to go, and they're gonna just use this as justification to kill us. We need to stop it. He isn't able to do it. It is such an emotional scene, but as Cassian's there and he's watching everything, it's just truly great. He's standing there and they see the first shot fired by the Imperials. It was it was just such an emotional moment as you see that, and then the Imperials there, they don't know that it was one of their own going and taking that shot, and they tell their people to open fire, and it is just an absolutely bloody mess. It is a something that truly deserves the name massacre, as you see them going with absolute savagery, and they're just going and attacking each other. It is a giant, giant mess, and it is absolute chaos. You can see both through Cassian, Cyril, and Woolman, but also just other people just from Gorman going and just seeing this absolute carnage around them. You just see everyone being in complete danger, you not really knowing who besides Cassian is safe. And through this, you just get this just absolutely devastating attack and just everything going as badly as possible. It is absolutely, horrific to see, but it is also incredible to see because, well, this is something that, happened in real life. This is something that would be just super hard to watch. And in a way, it sort of is because it's just an absolute monstrous atrocity happening. And, I mean, it also still is just so compelling because of just how well it is done. I think that, especially for people who have like fears of spiders, they could have seen something where like the Gorman spiders are kind of just going loose everywhere. But I'm glad because I'm going to be watching this with someone who doesn't love spiders, and it'll make it a lot easier for them to watch this. Yeah, I was like to make it easier to watch a genocide just because this that spiders involved. But I don't remember what I'm saying, but it's just one of those things where they'll be able to actually watch what's going on and not just be like, oh god, spiders. And yeah, honestly, it was just incredible. I think that the massacre, it was so well done. It was is that it was just in a way so hard to watch because of just how realistic it felt, and like this is something that genuinely could have happened in real life, but also just the build up to it as we just get all this protesting and them just yelling in Gore, We Are the Gore of the Galaxies watching, and then them breaking out into like their anthem. It was it was just genuinely chilling as this absolute atrocity is about to happen. It's like those moments in Clone Wars Season 7 as it's building up to Order 66. Something terrible is about to happen, and you want it to not happen. You want the right thing to happen, but you just know there's nothing they could do. The absolute worst case scenario was about to happen, and this atrocity is it's about to come down any second now. You're just not sure exactly when, but this is all about to fall apart, and it is going to be just absolutely devastating. And yeah, honestly, just going through it, as I said, absolutely amazing. I'm talking about it for like nearly 36 minutes now, and I feel like there's probably so much where I could talk about, and I'll do a little more talking after I take a look at my bingo card and see if I was close to getting one. So let's go take a look at that. And looking at it, I have a near bingo, but since they said Vader's not going to appear, that is never going to happen. So I have one that's close, but not possible. Again, another one. If we do really see the saws of that suit, we could assume that the Rhydonium is the reason that he was injured. So I may mark that next week, depending on what we have revealed. And then going through everything else, I have Steel dying in here. We have hearing her speech from Rebels because it is supposed to be the same one. And then also, Ghost Crew is essentially mentioned as the people that are going to go meet up with her. And then also the Ghorman Massacre being an inside job. And also Cyril catching up to Cassian is stuff that all that happened. So yeah, there's that. And then also the other one I did know I was missing was last week we do have the conversation that Bix and Deidre have went and did it, if you know what I mean. So if you have that on your card, you can also mark that. But yeah, just looking at this, I do think it would have been interesting to see B2 become K2 and the other made even more tragic. But as I said, I'm glad that B2 is going to survive through this, unless he gets like killed off next week. But yeah, I'm honestly really, really excited to see this. I think that looking at these, I feel like we're going to see Luthen's backstory being revealed and Luthen dying next week. I think we'll also see Galen Russo show up. Maybe even a small cameo from Kino. Not really sure about that one though. Definitely know that Bix is not gonna try and call Deidre because she's gonna disappeared to stay away from Cassian. I think we're also gonna see Luthen being exposed, and that's why he does die. And then um, I kind of do wish we did see Perrin, so we're not gonna see Betrayman. I think we'll also probably see Galen give the Death Star plans to Bodhi. I think that Galen is going to appear, and we'll see that little storyline. I think we could also see Tarkin show up for like a minute or two. I don't know. I feel like we might see her swing about Cassian's sister, but not really sure. But yeah, honestly, this is all pretty interesting, and now it's time to go fun to give my kind of final thoughts and overview of the episode. So let's go and do that. And yeah, honestly, just really, really, really great. As I said, this is easily the best thing Disney has really done. And yeah, honestly, I just think there's all those like great little moments, like them sending the extremely inexperienced troops out to make sure, things are gonna go really bad. They just want this to go to the absolute worst place scenario. I think that the one Imperial did just look really intimidating with a giant scar on his face and him going and just ordering just things that seemed absolutely absurd for people that want to try and keep the peace, but clearly they didn't. They wanted to provoke the Gormans, and them going and opening the plaza. Honestly, just all the ultimate trap and them being able to go and frame things. It was just genuinely impressive. It was just so well done, and it was truly amazing. And yeah, honestly, as you can see, basically up for the 40-minute mark now, and you can tell that I just I just truly, truly love this. This was this was easily the best part of Andor, and I basically spent just a little under the time of the shortest episode of this arc to go and talk about it. But yeah, I just love this arc so much. I just couldn't stop talking about it. And I did actually almost forget something. I forgot to almost mention K2SO and him being taken. It was honestly, it was just a weird moment. I don't really mind the retcon too much because, as I said earlier, I didn't really read the comic, but I just think it was really great. Cassian going and taking him from the Ghorman Massacre, and it just ending with him activating K2 and K2 just being like, yeah, I mean, like I hope I didn't offend you. Just please don't be pointing your gun at me. It was just really, really, really great. But yeah, honestly, as I said, I just really, really enjoyed this. Please, please let me know what you think in the comments. There's just so many great moments, and oh, I also almost forgot to mention just that great conversation between Deidre and Cyril it was just really, really, really well done. I think that scene was just really great, and just how betrayed Cyril was and how he wanted to just get out of there as quickly as possible was really, really amazing. But yeah, honestly, let me know what you think in the comments, and that's your next episode of Legends and Theories.
Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.